Okay, hello and welcome back to TenkoBerry's Theory Talk. Hopefully you are all doing okay today and staying safe. So it's been a little while since our last Theory Talk. Let me see, how long has it actually been, I tell you. Let me see, how long has it been? It's been a little while, I tell you. It's been a little while. It's been 5 days. Around 5 days. It's the 9th now, yeah. Yeah, it would be 5 days since our last Theory Talk. 5 to 6 days. 5 to 6 days, somewhere around that. Alright, so in today's episode we're going to be talking about Helldivers 2. And what happens, or what would the end of Helldivers 2 be like? And you know what, I got some bad news, I tell you. Because obviously, the end is quite clear if you know, have looked at how many deaths have been happening. Like if I was to look up how many people are on Super Air. 10 billion. At least 10 billion, they say. Okay. How many Helldivers 2 players have died? Over 10 million. So I'm pretty sure that's a lot higher now. Pretty sure that is a lot higher now. And then you think, you know, oh, it's 10 billion, you know, we have multiple, you know, planets where people are on. Huh? Yeah, it's a lot. But eventually all of that's going to come grinding down. Like, you know, is, you know, there still being a lot of babies? Who knows? It could be on the decline, even though, you know, propaganda to have children and, you know, Super Air and all that. But, that many has died, 10 million. And there's 10 billion with 200,000 ships. Now, the end for Super Air and all of the people would not be like a bad one. It would probably be the dismantling of a managed democracy. A terrible thing, because democracy was supposed to get rid of monarchies, and managed democracy is basically a monarchy, but you know, little tiny bits are put in. It's a very funny thing, I tell you. But the end would probably be not bad. It would probably be a lot actually better for the entire place. Because for any of you who are new, the whole story with the automatons and bugs is that humanity tried to enslave them, and that is why they're fighting us. The automatons don't actually really hate us. They just want to stop us from doing more harm, and then they'll just leave and just do their own thing. And you know, well, that's not bad, because, you know, they're not that bad, so you fight them all the time. Because, you know, how many people died on that Malevian Creek? And then bam, you know, they just all appear again. And you know what? I could reference another game, PlanetSide 2. PlanetSide 2, for any of you who are new, is a great game, but it's kind of lacking in a lot of areas these days. It's a great free game. You know, it's massive multiplayer online. You know, you get first person, and then, you know, game supports battles with thousands of players. But I think my favourite thing about PlanetSide 2 is that you could work together to take over zones. Basically what you have in Helldivers 2. Basically you're taking little bits, you know, liberating it all. But you may be liberating it all, but that could just get, you know, taken back, you know, instantly. I don't know how many times I've played PlanetSide 2, and I've just pushed the enemy so far, and, you know, it was, you know, a lot of the time, you know, just me helping out, you know, my entire team is like a respawn, you know, person, because they would die so much. But I managed to push with my team. I think it was Team Yellow, can't remember, or Team Blue, not sure. We pushed all the way to a certain point. I log off for the day, I log back on, and we are on the brink of defeat. how much could change, so little time, eh? But it's kind of like that, I tell you, for Helldivers 2. No matter how much territory you really take, you know, another automaton army could just appear, larger and larger and larger and larger. And if I go to this one, wait 1 second. Automatons. How many automations have died? We killed roughly 7.4 billion and lost 222,000. Not bad, statistics, but oh, this is so funny. It's a very outdated, what do you call it, news article, and it was, will the automatons come back? And obviously they did. But the ending for Helldivers 2 would not be a bad one. Like, yeah, freedom and all that. But it's just not the right direction the freedom should be going. It should be going back to, Super Air. Restoring, a better air. Because, I gotta say, Super Air is not very good. Not very good in a lot of areas. And also ignore the very pixelated image in the background. I had to try and find one, and all I could find is web page, web page, web page. I don't want to save it to web page. I want to use it as a background for, like, a video, but I can't do that. So that's really annoying, I tell you. Alright, back to the thing. So, how would it go? Well, eventually, the grinding machine of babies being born takes, like, well, let's see, what age is a Helldiver? You know what, no one's really asked that question. Alright. How old, and we'll just go from modern, armies, is a modern soldier? So, let's see. Okay, let's see. Oh, this just says, however, the military has been getting older since the draft ended in 1973. In 2009, the age of the average enlisted personnel was slightly more than 27 years old, up from 25 years old in 1973. Similarly, the average age of officers has increased to 32 to 35 years old. Now, if we go back to Vietnam, how old was a soldier? Okay, so the average age was 22 years old to 17, 16, around that age. So, what's to say, these people that fight for Super Air are not the same, age. Like, you want to pump out these people as fast as possible to fight for you. Obviously, you've got to just throw them into the meat grinder away. And with how many, Helldivers have died, how many, 17, 24-year-olds died for Super Air? But then the incoming, calamity will never really be stopped. Like, you may kill a bunch of bugs, you may kill a bunch of automatons, but really, it's never really got to be stopped. Like, there'll be a battle that goes on for, basically, it's what they exactly wanted. They wanted people to play for a long time, to liberate all of it, and then invade, again, to keep people, going. Because eventually, you know what? Helldivers 2 will, end online. So, eventually, automatons and bugs will win. Eventually. Okay, my brain's just, not working now, but eventually, Helldivers 2 will be taken offline, right? It probably can't stay online for, well, if you say 5 years, right? It's not really gonna be 5 years in the universe of Super Air, right? It's still gotta be like, you know, oh, we're fighting, you know. Like, I do want to ask a question. What year is Helldivers 2 set in? It is set in a century after the triumph of Super Air. So not an exact date. 2084. That is where Helldivers 2 1 is set. And then the second is set a bit after that, so 89? 90? So if you think about it, it's like 70 or 80 years away. I say 70 or 80s, but that's, you know, working from just 2000. It's more like 60 to, yeah, 40? No, 50. 50, 60. Around that. Till it would be the actual date of that. Alright. But back to the main, you know, thing. So we obviously know Helldivers 2 will end either abruptly from being unplugged, or it will keep going and it will just keep on going and it just become a slog of really no enjoyment after a long time. Like, yeah, you can kill 1,000 bugs, you know, or maybe 1,000,000,000 or 1,000,000,000. But eventually it gets tiring because it's just got to be an unending wave. You know, how many times will the developers send automatons, bugs, or even a new force, you know? Maybe like, you know, something like, you know, a parasite, like kind of like the Flood in Halo, or, you know, in Dead Space, something like that. You shoot off as many of its limbs to kill it. You know what, that would be a cool enemy. Just not for, you know, Helldivers 2, or, you know, the universe that's based on. But, it's a sad end, but a sad, you know, truth. That this is how the game's gonna end. It's just gonna end, you know, abruptly, probably. Because, yeah, there might be victory. Like, there's the victory chance is, you know, quite high. Obviously, you know, they pushed back the automatons once, they'll try and do it again. But what's to say that they just can't, you know, just come back again and again and again? Because they have to come back, because it's what keeps the players around. Eventually, you know, oh, we'll just spawn in, like, you know, armada of, you know, automatons near Super Air or something, you know, something like that. Some trash like that. Just to try and keep the people entertained and still playing the game. But for the ending of like the entire thing, like if I had to put in like a full, you know, box, the ending of Helldivers 2 would not be a bad thing. It would be the end of a managed democracy. Freedom finally achieved, proper one. Automatons would be free to actually live. They're not really bad, you know, things. Yeah, they may be, you know, all like, you know, chainsaws and all that, but that's more like an intimidation factor, you know. Yeah, the stormtroopers in World War One, they had gas masks and all that, you know, skulls on their hats and all that, you know, all of that. Just trying to be intimidating, attacking at night time and all that. But it kind of just gives you the idea that the ending would not be bad. Okay, for the bugs, I tell you. I don't think the bugs would really destroy all of humanity. I feel like the automatons would just, you know, like, no, no, no. We're not destroying them because, you know, that just, you know, cause problems later on. I feel like it'd be like that. Automatons would actually protect against the bugs. Like, you know, there's no need for fighting no more. And then the bugs can just return back to their homelands and also all the conquered land that they had. But it's weird to think that. It would not be like a bad ending, though, for some of you who are, you know, die-hard fans of the series and anything, you know, like, you know, Helldivers 2 related. It would feel like a big blow to you. You know, you just got a gut punch, but, you know, true. That's how it's just gonna end. It will end good, bad. It'd be like a grey zone. There's really no, you know, point of fighting in Helldivers 2 if the ending's just gotta be just for nothing. It's like in World War One, sending soldiers. Let me see. Okay, here it is. On the first day of the Somme in World War One, 1,900 soldiers died. 57,000 were wounded. And, you know, a lot of those did die eventually. But that's like 30%. 30% would, or maybe 40, 50%, 40. 30, 30, 40, 30 would die. Now, that will probably be the same cost, not like in numbers wise, of what it would take, you know, at the very end. Basically, you're just sending, you know, soldiers just to be slaughtered. That's basically what it is. That's basically what the Helldivers are, you know, are. They're just expendable units. They're strong, they're powerful, they're like, you know, special operations soldiers. But in reality, they're just weak cannon fodder that can just do a lot of damage. They're like glass cannons, that's what they are. Because, you know, how many people have lost, like, you know, thousand, you know, times from dying? Oh, my friend accidentally blew me up with, you know, a 500-kilogram bomb. And if you think about that, it's actually a life in the game. You know, there may be 10 billion people, but not to say all of the people can have children, eh? Like, how many of them are still, you know, adults? How many of them are still children? How many of them are elderly and can't have children? You know, the life, you know, expectancy is probably high, but also very low at the same time for, you know, people who are younger. It just, you know, keeps the old people in charge and keeps the younger people dying. That's basically what war is, anyway. Alright, well, hopefully you enjoy this theory talk. So, have a nice day, safe, have a simple, read the summers, just think of the vitamins, very, very important, and bye bye, see you next time, bye bye, see you, bye bye.